I love it. Hue Jackson stopped by. Great to see him. You know, it's amazing. You get some time off away from the game. The goatee, you look like $1 million. Look at you.
Thank you.
Healthy and happy.
Thank you. In a good place, and excited to be here, though.
It's great. So, Hue, I want to ask you, so Seattle goes and they lost Frank Clark, who's a real player. So they got to get a pass rush. So they bring in Jadeveon Clowney. It's late. Houston, offensive line issues. Bill O'Brien's an offensive guy. I got Deshaun Watson. He's had 2 surgeries. I got to get a left tackle. How problematic is it? Those are important positions, but how tough is it to take a Clowney or Laramie Tunzel? Now, I got 7 days to get ready. Is it tough?
It's tough, but those are positions that you have to have that talent at. You're talking about a guy that's going to protect the quarterback in Tunzel, and you're talking about a guy that's going to rush the quarterback in Clowney. I mean, they're 2 of the better players in the National Football League at their positions, and if you have a chance to secure their services, you need to.
Average game in this league is 4 points. So obviously in your Cleveland years, you had higher hopes, but you're also a realist. You know where you struggle. You know where your personnel's good. So your former team, Cleveland. I look at Cleveland and I think on the perimeter, corner receiver, I really like them. I think their defensive front, they spent money. There's some players. But there's a lot of new faces. Hugh, Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson. Odell Beckham's missed 16 of his last 32. Would you worry about a lot of new faces, some big personalities, and a new head coach? Is it too much?
It could be. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of balancing that you have to do in that situation. When you bring in that many new players who are as talented as those players are, I mean, a lot of those guys are alpha personalities.
Sure.
So you have to be ready to balance those particular personalities along with creating the environment for those guys to mesh together and become a really good football team.
Jarvis Landry's one of the most underrated receivers in the league. He's not flashy, but he gives you 90 catches. I know you liked it when he came over from Miami. You got Odell, David Njoku, Nick Chubb. Listen, let's be honest about this. These are alpha males. These are millionaires, and they're young men. That's a lot of mouths to feed. How would you as a coach, with all those talented players, is a lot of it just psychology to make sure they're because there are going to be games. Odell's going to be doubled, Hugh. He's going to get 4 targets.
Right. No, you have to wear that hat. You just said it. I mean, those guys' value is tied to what they do in games, and how well they play and what they're seen as. So as a coach, you have to put those guys in position to have touches for so many different reasons. One, for personal reasons, but the other reasons because they can affect the game and win the game for you. So the strategy of how to do that is going to be so important, for their offensive staff and the head coach.
Freddie Kitchens was on your staff. You like him. I don't know much about him. He was a running back coach, a tight end coach. What do we know?
Well, I think you just said it. I mean, he's been he's been a lifelong assistant coach. And again, head coaches come in all different shapes and sizes. I get it, especially now in today's National Football League. They're coming from all over the place. So we'll know more about what Freddie is once the season progress. But obviously, he's a talented person. He coached the running backs when I was there. He'd been at the Cardinals and was a quarterback coach. So he's been around offensive football, been around some good coaches. But we'll start to know exactly who he is as the season starts to go.
We've got some college guys coming into the NFL and certainly college schematics. But it's still overwhelmingly, Lamar Jackson won his division. Russell Wilson moves around, but has developed into a great pocket passer. Is there within the league a little pushback on college stuff, pro stuff? Because I'm seeing some concepts, but if Cliff Kingsbury goes 2-14, owners look around the league and go, give me my NFL guys. Do you think we'll just keep seeing college stuff into the NFL?
I think, obviously, I think, there's a book that says Who Moved My Cheese? And I think things are changing somewhat. When you look across the National Football League, there's more of these young players that are coming in and they're producing and they're having success. So I think, there will be a time where, we'll start to slow down and the old NFL way will catch up. Everything kind of goes in cycles.
It does.
But I really, truly believe that, those players, those quarterbacks, especially when you look at the 2 young men that have just come out of Oklahoma, they've done a tremendous job.
Baker and Kyler.
Absolutely. These guys are going to be 2 of the better quarterbacks in the league. That's what we're hoping, So when you look at it, I think things are changing somewhat, but you also still have to have some of that old tried and true National Football League flavor in it too.
I picked the Steelers to win the AFC North over Cleveland, and the primary reason was I think Pittsburgh's defensive front will give Cleveland's offensive line, in my opinion, their weakness, the tackle positions in their O-line. I think Pittsburgh, I don't like the matchup for Cleveland in the trenches. And I do like the Steelers' O-line, and I do love the Browns' D-line. But this league is not a perimeter league. It's one on the interior. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. Very noisy last year. Got away from it. They went and got a corner, Steve Nelson from Kansas City. Devin Bush looks to be very good. Right. Mark Barron, they move it. He'll be in the box. He's a big hitter. T.J. Watt can really play. Talk about the Steelers' personnel. They didn't win the division last year. I could still make an argument it's as good as most personnel in the league.
No, it is. I mean, there's no question. And they're very strategic in the players that they put on their team. When you think of the young player they drafted linebacker out of Michigan. Devin Bush. I mean, he's going to be phenomenal for them. He's going to give them that dimension that they were missing, when they lost.
The rangy linebacker?
Absolutely. Who can go cover any, tight ends and running backs at any time, and he can run and hit. So Pittsburgh, when you think about them, they are still built the way they are. They're going to be a very good defensive football team, very, very talented. Obviously, Mike Tomlin's done a great job. You don't stay there as long as he has and not be very good at what you do. So I still think they're the class of the AFC North, and I think they'll show that.
Yeah, we don't talk about offensive lines, but I tell all these Brown fans, that Pittsburgh O-line is about as good as the AFC has. You faced it.
There's no doubt. They're good. They're good. And I mean, obviously, you don't have the production that they've had with the Bees, before without that offensive line. I mean, they're good.
I want to talk about the running back position, Hue Jackson joining us. Analytics are changing sports. I say I like manalytics. I like a little analytics, but I don't want to reduce athletes to numbers.
Absolutely.
Because I think it puts your coaches in very difficult spots. When you look at running backs, I'm Jason Garrett. I'm fighting for Zeke.
Absolutely.
I am fighting. If I'm Anthony Lynn, I'm fighting for Melvin Gordon.
Absolutely.
Do you worry about analytics in football moving away from the running game and that some of those numbers and data, as a coach, you just need stars. You need players. Like if you're in Dallas, how do you reconcile the numbers say pay Zeke this and take me there?
Well, I think you said it. I think the numbers are saying one thing, but the algorithm of a coach is saying a whole different thing because we know what it's going to take week in and week out to produce a winner on offense and on defense, and we know what those players look like and what they play like. Numbers are just numbers, and it's who's putting in those numbers. And what kind of numbers are you putting in to get this information? Because at the end of the day, this is still about winning and losing. It's not about anything else, So if it's about winning and losing, I'm going to trust my coaches first and foremost. Okay. The numbers might help inform me of certain things that we can do better. But at the end of the day, I have to trust what the coaches know and what they see.
I've been critical of Baker Mayfield. I think he's a talented kid. I'm not into noisy quarterbacks. It's just my personal taste. My dad was kind of a conservative business guy, right? So that's the environment I was in, emotional discipline, put your money away. I tend to like the Russell Wilson, the Goff. I mean, Goff's in L.A. I've never seen him. Right. Brady, Breeze, Andrew Luck. I think Mahomes has a lot of that. He's fun, but he's all football. Baker, and you've had your run in there. Baker's a lot of noise and a lot of stuff. I think I'm being very realistic saying, I just wonder how it plays for 12 years. Is that a legitimate concern? I
think it is. Obviously he's a good football player. Yeah. I think we all agree with that, and everybody handles things and do things differently, and he's going to have to figure out what's going to be the best way for him moving forward to be what I truly believe he wants to be, which is one of the better players in the league. I think you said it. You haven't seen a lot of players probably handle things the way he has.
And become that.
Absolutely. And I think he'll learn as he goes. I think he'll be willing to learn because this league will humble you. It just will. It's what it does. I always say quarterbacks truly should start on their knees because this league will bring you to your knees. So you'll learn very quickly, and he will, just as anybody who are like that there's certain things that happen in this league that you have to really adhere to. And I think Baker will figure that out.
You didn't have a winning record in Cleveland, but you also didn't have a ton of personnel. The quarterback situation was, that's the league. Herm Edwards always says, I'd be in the league if you gave me, if you have the star quarterback.
Right.
He had Chad Pennington who got hurt, and there goes Herm becomes a broadcaster. When you go into a season now, does a coach have a sense? Now, you obviously have to sell to the troops. We're going to win Sunday.
Absolutely.
But do you know as a coach, do you think there's 7-8 coaches in this league know that they're crossing their fingers here? Like they just know their personnel doesn't match up?
Absolutely. Because if you're an experienced coach who's coached in the league, you know what it takes to win and lose. But you can't stand in front of the troops and say, we don't have a chance. You have to go week in and week out and give them everything you have to give them the best opportunity to have success. And I think the players really appreciate that. There's veteran players that know, truly, we might not have a chance here.
Right.
But their job, your job when you sign up for it is to be the best you can be. And that's all you can do. But if there's some coaches that I know that probably know that their teams are going to struggle, absolutely.
Hugh, I've said there are NFL coaches that I believe could flourish at the college level. I've said this. Bill Parcells would not deal with boosters. I don't think he'd be a successful college coach. And then there are college guys, I think. Brian Kelly could probably go to the NFL and win some games. And I'll ask you this again. You're going to miss Sundays. Would you ever coach on Saturdays?
Oh, absolutely. I would. I've had an opportunity to spend some time at the University of Maryland with Mike Loxley, who I think is a tremendous football coach. I think he's going to do a great job there. And I was really impressed, just by the structure and what that looked like, because I've been out of it for so long.
Right.
So there was an itch a little bit.
Sure.
And it was fun to see, and being able to compare it to the National Football League.
Well, Herm
game.
Edwards is your friend. I mean, I talked to Herm
Absolutely.
last week.
Yeah.
He's having a real good time.
Yes, they are. So again, it's coaching, so if an opportunity would present itself, there's no question I would definitely look at it.
Is there any high like Sunday in the NFL?
No, there's not. Game day is unbelievable. The smell of the grass, the fans being outside, all the pre-game parties that are going on, and watching the players walk into the locker room with a true belief that we're going to defend our turf today. There's just nothing like it.
Hey, it's great seeing you.
You too.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.